My name is Elena, and for 10 years, I lived a lie that began with fear and ended with truth. I'm 34 now, a primary school teacher in Norwich, England. I've been married to Daniel for 9 years, a quiet, gentle man who listens more than he speaks. People always say he's the kind of man who never raises his voice, who forgives easily, who trusts completely. And they're right. But for most of our marriage, I've kept something from him that could have broken everything we built. Before Daniel, there was Ray. He was wild, spontaneous, full of big dreams and dangerous confidence. We met in my last year of university, and I fell for him the way you fall off a cliff, fast, helplessly, without thinking about how hard the landing might be. Ray talked about opening his own business, traveling the world, living life without rules. He was exciting in all the ways I wasn't. For 2 years, we built a dream together, one my family never approved of. They thought he was reckless. His parents thought I was too serious. And then, one day, he was gone. No message, no explanation. Just gone. Weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor with the test in my hand, shaking so hard I could barely breathe. I was terrified. My family would never accept a baby from Ray, and I didn't even know where he was. I wanted to believe he'd come back, but he didn't. So I stayed quiet. I told no one. And then Daniel came into my life, calm, kind, and safe. He made me feel like I could breathe again. When he asked me to marry him, I said yes, even though I was carrying another man's child. I told myself I could learn to love him. I told him the baby was his. When our son, Leo, was born, Daniel looked at him with tears in his eyes and said, "He's perfect. He's ours." In that moment, I almost told him the truth. But I couldn't. I watched him change nappies, sing lullabies, and fall asleep holding Leo in his arms. Every day, he gave his whole heart to that little boy. And every day, I let him believe a lie. Years passed, and we built what looked like a perfect family. We had Sunday picnics, birthday parties, holidays by the sea. Daniel never doubted a thing. But every time Leo smiled, I saw Ray in him, the same sharp jawline, the same mischievous eyes. And every time Daniel said, "He looks just like you," I felt guilt twist inside me. Then one ordinary Saturday, everything unraveled. Leo was playing football when he suddenly collapsed. We rushed him to the hospital, terrified. The doctor said he needed blood immediately, and Daniel volunteered without hesitation. But when they tested his blood type, something didn't match. The doctor came back, hesitant, and asked, "Are you sure you're the father?" The room fell silent. My secret, the one I had buried for almost a decade, was suddenly standing in front of us. That night, I told Daniel everything. About Ray. About the pregnancy. About the lie that had built our marriage. I cried until I couldn't breathe. But Daniel didn't say a word. He just walked into Leo's hospital room and sat beside him. In the days that followed, he spoke little. He took care of Leo, but he barely looked at me. The distance between us was worse than anger, it was emptiness. And then, one evening, there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, my knees went weak. It was Ray. He looked older, worn, but those eyes, I knew them instantly. "He's mine, isn't he?" he said. I couldn't speak. My silence told him everything. He said he wanted to see Leo. Wanted a DNA test. Claimed he had a right to know his son. And before I could answer, Daniel appeared behind me, calm but cold. He invited Ray inside. The three of us sat in the living room, Daniel by the window, Ray on the edge of the sofa, and me, standing like a stranger in my own home. Ray said he wanted to know his son, that it wasn't his fault he didn't know. Daniel looked at him and said quietly, "You weren't there when he cried at night. You didn't teach him to ride a bike or hold him when he was scared. You don't know him." But Ray wouldn't back down. He demanded a DNA test, said he'd go to court if he had to. I felt my world collapse all over again. The test came back positive, of course. Ray was the biological father. He was granted visitation rights every other Saturday. The first time he picked Leo up, it felt like my heart was being ripped apart. Leo didn't understand who Ray really was. I told him he was a friend. When he came home, he said, he bought me ice cream. We went to the zoo. I smiled, but inside I felt sick. It only got harder when Leo asked Daniel one night, "Are you still my dad?" Ray said he's my real dad. Daniel knelt down and said something I will never forget. "A real dad doesn't just give you life, Leo. A real dad stays." Those words broke me open. After that, Daniel changed. He became more protective of Leo, but more distant from me. I thought our marriage was finished, but I asked him to try therapy, for Leo, if not for us. He agreed. In therapy, we faced everything we had avoided for years. I told Daniel about my fear, my guilt, the loneliness that drove my decisions. He told me how betrayed he had felt, how foolish, how small. One day, the therapist asked Daniel what he wanted most. He was quiet for a long time before saying, "I want to be Leo's dad in every way. Not just in my heart, I want it written." He wanted to adopt Leo. Ray resisted at first. He said it wasn't fair, that Leo was his blood. But eventually, he realized what love really meant. "If that's what Leo wants," he said, "then I won't stand in the way." When Leo was 8, Daniel officially adopted him. At the courthouse, Leo smiled and said, "Now you're really my dad." Daniel's eyes filled with tears as he whispered, "I always was." After that, Ray disappeared from our lives again. He sent a birthday card one year, then nothing. Maybe he finally understood that being a father isn't about DNA, it's about showing up every day. Slowly, our family began to heal. Daniel and I rebuilt our marriage one fragile day at a time. We forgave each other, little by little. We laughed again. Now, years later, our home is full of warmth. We talk more, listen more, forgive faster. We tell Leo every day that he is loved and that love doesn't come from blood, it comes from choice. Sometimes I still think about the past and wish I had done things differently. But then I look at Daniel and Leo together, and I realize that even the hardest truths can lead us home. If you're hearing this and you've made mistakes too, please know this: you are not alone. We all carry parts of ourselves we wish we could erase. But healing begins the moment we stop hiding. The truth might break you first, but it can also save you.